Can I tell you about my finished it?
I would love to hear about your finished it.
Stunning. My finished it is Tyler, the Creator's 8th studio album, Chromakopia.
Woo!
Chromakopia. Okay, this is in line with Tyler's release schedule. He normally puts out an album every 2 years. And he's done it again, even though saying, he's been noted as saying, hey, I'm not releasing anything 2024.
All right, mate.
But he did. This had an interesting kind of album rollout. It was kind of, I don't know, a bit of a surprise. He really just, it wasn't too long between announcement and release. And it looked a little different, you know? Seemed like a very, very unique and in its own kind of category. It has this green and black branding. All of the videos and photos are kind of this muted black and white with slightly green tone. So that, I think that built up a lot of hype. Now, I've been listening to this album like crazy amounts. Like I think there's probably been only a couple of days where it's counted for my Spotify Wrapped this year. But I think it's going to be at the top.
Oh my God.
Which is wild.
Wait, when does Wrapped end? It's not the end of October, is it?
I thought it was the end of October.
Damn. Shit.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is Chromakopia. Now, you've also been listening to this a little bit.
I did. I listened through once.
Sick. I love to start off these things that I bring to the table by asking you first. Like, what did you think of it?
Okay, I might just bring it up on my Spotify to remind myself exactly what we're looking at here.
Sure thing. Do you want me to
what's that?
Stall it for time. Stolen for time. Stolen for time.
I got it.
Great.
I got it. So, as I was telling Jett on the phone the other day, I feel so lacking in context despite Jett's best efforts, and I feel wildly unqualified to have any opinions whatsoever. I really like the first song. I love
Chroma?
that, like that marching band vibe.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting the way the voice of a mother or a mother figure was scattered throughout there and starting so many of the songs. And I was like, first of all, I was like, if that's real recordings from back in the day, incredible effort holding off on using those for the past 7 albums. If they're re-records, that's fine. It's about the vibes. And I thought the song Hey Jane was maybe lyrically my favorite, but I also had other thoughts about it.
Okay.
Like, why do so many men in rap sing the women's parts? That feels weird to me.
That's an interesting take that I don't know if I've ever heard, and I can't wait to hear you elaborate on.
Those were maybe my top 3 thoughts.
Okay.
That's top 3 thoughts with Reuben.
Woo, 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 woo.
Woo.
Every time we do a rap album, Reuben gives top 3
Top
thoughts
3
and then no more
thoughts. That's
thoughts.
a thing now.
You have
Until we
3
forget.
thought spaces you have 3 thought memory slots dedicated to rap music in the back of your brain. You just have to swap them out.
I was
going to
say, it's a finite 3 though. So as soon as I hear the next album, Chromakopia will be forever gone from my memory.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But you're right. So Tyler's mother, Bonita Smith, does have, she has these little messages throughout some of the songs, sometimes bookending a song like Saint Chroma, the first one, or sometimes coming in just at the end, kind of giving a bit of a tidbit, sometimes a bit of advice, an opinion, a message to Tyler. And sometimes they're ones you kind of agree with. I mean, Saint Chroma sort of starts with her saying, the light is within you. Like, believe in your own light. Don't let the light die out. You are the light. And then sometimes it's things like, don't tell someone you love them unless you really mean it. Which that is on the song Darling I. And that also, that one has her saying, don't tell someone you love them unless you really mean it, or, think about it before you tell someone you love them. And it goes straight into the intro where Tyler's singing, Darling, I'm falling in love.
In Tyler's defense, I think he did take that lesson on board, Because when Jared Carmichael said "I love you," he did not say it back because he did not feel it.
That's a really good point, actually.
Yeah, thank you.
That's a really good point. This isn't the first time we've heard Bonita Smith on a Tyler album. I believe there's snippets of her on Call Me If You Get Lost. And there's also, Jared Carmichael has snippets of him talking in a lot of Igor, Tyler's sixth studio album and maybe his most famous. So I have notes on like all the songs and we can kind of run through that, diving a bit deeper into some of the more hefty songs. But what I'd really kind of like to start this out with is actually the last song on Call Me If You Get Lost, his previous album, on the extended edition, the Estate Sale, which is Sorry Not Sorry.
Yep.
On this song...
This was the one where Tyler did the different eras, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
All his different personas. So in the music video, you see Tyler who's sort of in this, I want to liken it to a diorama or like a museum piece that's covered in glass and you are the viewer and you're watching him and it's like no flash. There's a sign saying no flash photography and the curtain's open. And it's him in this sort of diorama setting of this, I don't know, wilderness kind of area, dry desert. But it's not just one him. It's like him in all of these different outfits that you associate with all the eras. So Igor dressed in pink, glasses, and a blonde bob wig. Call Me If You Get Lost. He's wearing all the blue and the fur and all of that. You have Cherry Bomb where he's wearing the gross kind of Cherry Bomb mask. Like you have all of the eras. And then you have Tyler, a version of Tyler that is not wearing anything. Not particularly stylized. And he's the one mostly singing. And he's singing Sorry Not Sorry. So he's singing sorry to fans, family, his mother, his friends, about all the things that he's done in his life, like hiding the men that he's been with, or not spending enough time with his family, or just thinking about how if he didn't move and do as much as he's doing now in this famous state, maybe he would have done some great things with his old friends from earlier in his life. And so that's the sorry part. And then as you progress through the song, he kind of gets a bit angrier or a bit more like, actually, I am just a person and I don't actually have to apologize for a bunch of this stuff because I'm sorry, but also I'm not sorry because these are decisions that I'm making about my life and my life shouldn't revolve around your lives and they shouldn't be, I shouldn't be this perfect person for all of you to be the perfect person, perfect version of me in your life. I'm still my own person. So I'm not sorry. And that's a great song. I think it's a great song. And that music video sort of ends with this blank version of Tyler beating the shit out of the rest of the Tylers and killing them, essentially. And it's sort of this ending to this persona era where he's playing these characters. And at the very end of this album, because this album is a Gangsta Grillz DJ Drama mixtape, and so DJ Drama comes in and sings little bits throughout the whole album. At the end, he comes in and says, and like that, like another era is upon us. There's going to be another era. What's that going to be? We don't know. Well, now we do know. It's Chromakopia.
Yeah, cool. I see. I see. And that connects to the last song last song in Estate Sale. For some reason, I thought this was connected to the last song in Chromakopia, but no.
No. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah. And I think that we do have another era upon us. I mean, if you look at the visual iconography of this, you've seen the album art?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Why don't you give it an explain
so
for the listeners?
It's chrome. It's black and white and grey, listeners. And it's Tyler with a single light behind him. He's kind of splaying his hand out like he's talking or gesturing. He's got a mask on that looks like it's out of iRobot or something. Like you can see his eyes, but the rest is a quite sculpted face, and he's wearing like a suit of some sort, suit, tie, and collared shirt.
I think I might be wrong, but I think it's like his face. Yeah? Like it's a more smoothed version of his own face.
Yeah, I see that.
As a mask.
Yeah.
Think kind of like the Halloween mask, but if it was all one color. And looked like Tyler,
Look like the person under it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's pretty distinctive.
It's
Visually.
striking.
Yeah. So as you may, I think that we go through the songs. Saint Chroma, it enters with this, kind of monotonous marching band vibes. And it has kind of 3 sections, and it starts off with this like Tyler whispering. So it feels very mysterious, and I think it plays into that masked marching band thing. The suit that he's wearing is kind of a military suit thing. Like it has those things on the shoulders that are like loops.
Yeah.
So it all like, I don't know, coalesces in this first monotonous marching band song that is all about him kind of questioning, should I keep this light on? He has a line, should I keep the light on or should I gracefully bow out? Am I done? Should I quit? Like I've done 7 albums. That's pretty good. I won multiple Grammys. Maybe I should just stop, which is an interesting conflict to his mother saying, fucking keep the light on. Don't let the light off.
Yeah.
You fucking idiot. Yeah. And then we go into the song Ratata. And this is, I think, like a more classic Tyler, more of an more aggressive lyrically and rappy. It's not very like R&B singy. It's like, quite going at it. And it kind of feels a bit like Call Me If You Get Lost in the way of gloating. Now, Call Me If You Get Lost was very much, I'm on a boat, I'm in Europe, I'm having the best time, I have all these cool cars, and I love life, and being famous is great. And this kind of is similar. Like he's gloating about how he has the line, biggest out the city after Kenny, being Kendrick Lamar. So he's at the stage now where it's like, no, I can say that I'm big.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put myself up there. And he also talks about him and Lionel Boyce, which is another person from his old rap group, Old Future, doing drama class together in high school. And now Lionel Boyce is, a real fucking actor now, being the guy on The Bear.
Which guy on The Bear?
The pastry guy.
Oh, Marcus.
Yeah, Marcus.
Yeah.
So that's really fun. But I really like this song. It goes hard. It's an amped up song. The instrumentals are great on it. Yeah. How did you feel about this one? Do you remember it much?
I don't remember Ratata at all.
Okay. It goes ratata. Do you remember that bit?
No, but I bet it does.
Oh, I could
have told you that for free.
But the next one we go into, we sort of end ratata with him saying, look, things are great, but maybe things aren't great. Maybe things aren't always good being famous. Maybe I'm a little worried about some things. Maybe I'm paranoid.
Ooh, let's talk Noid.
Let's talk Noid, because this was like, I feel like the big single to come out of this album.
Yep.
I listened to this a bunch before the album dropped, and it really got me into the vibe. I want to hear what you think about Noid.
I haven't watched the video, so I'm hearing it dry on the not on the rocks, dry. The thing that I said the first time. Noid was, I liked the pace. I thought it was dramatic. I think it hits like a ton of bricks. It was fun. It's fun, pumpy, dramatic. Maybe made me a little bit stressed also.
It has these like whining synth noises that come in the background. I've listened to this also with like stereo widening on my fucking Nokia, which just like widens the stereo. It means that
make it wider.
Just make it wider. The voices the vocals become a little more muddy, but you can hear a lot more of the instrumentation. And with that, I could notice this synth whining that just goes up, kind of like a Christopher Nolan in The Dark Knight, just this uncomfortable whine for part of it, which I think, makes you feel kind of anxious and paranoid as a listener.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. This also has this Zambian sample, from a Zambian band that roughly translates to like, come into my home, and if you come into my home, be respectful, but don't talk too much, because talking too much breeds gossip. And I think that that works real well with the paranoia.
Yep.
And he even mentions that he's been paranoid before the fame, like before he was 19 when he got famous because he grew up in LA.
Yep.
And this is like an anecdote that I hear repeated from a lot of people who live in LA. Like my family members, even ones that live here now, are like my mum, for instance, she's like, oh, you need to lock all the doors in the house, even the back door, all of that. And like living and growing up in a rural town in Victoria, that's kind of rare.
Yeah.
In Victoria, Australia, it's like, no, you can just leave. People just leave their front door open. Like it's not that serious.
Yep.
But she's like, no. You need to make sure everything's locked. Someone could come in and steal things. Be as safe as possible to a kind of paranoid degree.
Interesting. So many people hate the culture there. Like they moved there because there's good work. And then like Tim mentioned, like hated it. Wrote a whole single about how much he was ready to leave LA. So maybe there's something in the air.
Yeah. Pollution. It's smog. Smog is in the air.
it's carbon dioxide. Yeah. Everyone's running out of air and they can't breathe or think and they're paranoid.
Yeah. But he talks about like how he is checking behind him when he's driving, you know, like if a car is following him, because this is kind of, once again, the opposite maybe of Call Me If You Get Lost, where this is the bad side. This is the bad side of fame. Despite him gloating so much, it's like, well, fucking people are kind of weird when you're famous. People follow you. You can't buy a house in private, which means people know where you fucking live.
That's pretty freaky.
It's freaky. It seems terrifying.
Yeah.
And you might have people who are fans who are like, oh yeah, I really want to talk to you. But they might also, like in the music video for this, we actually have Ayo Debris, who is looking like a crazed fan, coming up with a phone with a like flash on to take a photo of Tyler. And it cuts in some ways that for a couple of seconds, the phone changes to a gun.
Jesus.
And it's like when someone's like looking kind of crazed and pointing something at you, you're like, is this person good or are they bad in the simplest terms? Yeah.
Yeah. And you can't even like just go to the shops or whatever.
Yeah. You can't be a normal person.
Yeah. Yeah.
It also, Noid also has this hook of left shoulder, right shoulder, left shoulder look, which works with that sort of marching band style that's been, you know, that's peppered throughout the album. Yep. I just like it so much. It's so good.
You listened to this on repeat for ages, you said last week. Yeah.
I did, yeah. The next song is Darling I. Now, this is the one where Bonita Smith comes in and says, hey, don't tell someone you love them unless you really mean it. And in this one, he starts off by saying, darling, I think I'm falling in love. But this song is majorly about like non-monogamy. And how he's realized that in his relationships, he starts it off using cars as a metaphor, which is interesting. But he's like, I ride my Beamer for this reason, and I ride my like LaFerrari for this reason, whatever. I like them for different reasons. And then he goes
so
on
relatable.
Right? Man, having all these expensive cars. He mentions his LaFerrari, which he seems to recently have bought for like $4 million or whatever.
Jesus.
Like at least 6 times on this album. Definitely more. But he talks about how he kind of has, like his relationships are kind of the same. Like there are people that he's with, but he likes them for different reasons. And it's not always sex either. Like he wants freedom, and he seems to have this kind of fear of being dedicated to someone because forever is a long damn time is something that he says. But he also mentions that it's also not about, like he also wants the people that he's with to be able to explore themselves and to have different experiences than just him, because he's just one person and he knows that different people provide different things. So non-ethical, non-monogamy Tyler.
Yeah. Sometimes I wonder if we give it a few hundred years more, if we'll all just be queer and poly. Because it seems like some elements of human nature are really well served by like communal sharing of love in lots of ways. Who knows? Yeah.
And I also think that it's maybe a thing, I was thinking about this while listening to this album, that it's kind of a thing that's been gatekept to celebrities for a while.
Yeah, which is so odd.
Which is like, that person cheated on their wife or whatever, or slept with a bunch of different people. But, you know, they're super famous, so they can just, like, do that.
Yeah.
We make excuses for it as a general public, but, or, you know, maybe they, are sexually promiscuous and they have, like, an active, open relationship. And it's like, yeah, well, they're celebrities. Everyone would want to have sex with them, so it makes sense. But that doesn't apply to regular people, you know?
Funny that. Yeah.
So we have this sort of, I don't know, still so focused on monogamy for people who aren't celebrities. And it feels like maybe that's a message that's been perpetuated for some kind of reason. I think also to make celebrityship more endearing.
Totally. Yeah.
Look at all these things you're free to do once you become super famous and people are following you in cars and know where you live.
People point cameras and guns at you.
Yeah.
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 Oh, boy.
But that's Darling I. And then we jump into Hey Jane, which is the one that you had thoughts about.
This is probably the one that I have the most thoughts about.
Yeah.
By which I mean, when I had my 3 thoughts before, I'm pretty sure 2 of my thoughts were about Hey Jane. No, something like that. I think that this song is really interesting in terms of, well, I don't know exactly what it's about, but my interpretation was like an accidental pregnancy between probably a man and a woman, and she's called Jane, and he's also got a name that I've forgotten.
It's Tyler.
Yeah. And I just
Tyler,
thought
the creator, the artist that we're talking about.
I thought it was an interesting exploration of like the mess of that and how it's not just that like, oh, he's bad because he wasn't careful or like, and it's her choice to make, which is the case. But, you know, she's like, well, yeah, it's inconvenient, wasn't what I was expecting, but maybe I feel ready. But actually I kind of feel ready to do it without you. But how are you? And they talk back and forth in a couple of verses each. And I just thought it was really interesting. And this was something that I noticed from Childish Gambino's early work, before he was Childish Gambino. His very first album, which, look, he was just making a CD for his friends. So I'm not expecting him to have features on there. But I do maybe find this trend of male rappers singing all of the roles and like just doing a higher voice and pretending to be someone else as a character weird, because maybe just because I'm not accustomed to it, I find that like an odd choice, whereas maybe it's just the done thing and it's not really a statement. I'm like, why don't you invite another artist on to make it with you, or even to sing for you or something? I don't know. Which the more I say it, the more I'm like, it doesn't matter, but I don't know. I feel like I've given that way more thought than maybe anyone else does. I just think it's odd.
That's really interesting. I mean, I've listened to this song a few times now. I think that like it swaps. It's basically the first verse. The first half of the song is Tyler speaking to Jane, and the second half of the verse the second verse is Jane speaking to Tyler, and it's both it's all done. It's all spoken by Tyler. I don't think he does a higher voice in this.
Not nearly as much.
I think it's
there's a distinction in the way he sings it. No,
maybe I might have to give it another listen.
I might have to listen back.
But I think I get that. I think this is also a very intimate story. Like this is clearly something that has it's happened to Tyler. He's speaking very honestly in this, and he speaks very honestly in other songs on this album, which we'll get to. But yeah, it's about this unexpected pregnancy. And Tyler's like, fuck, I'm a responsible person and I really fucked up by like not being responsible here. But he's also singing about like, oh, Jane, like you're cool and you have like good features and I have good features in the way of like, yeah, a baby would be like, it'll be a good looking baby. We have good genes and it could be a thing, but he's like, you shouldn't go either way for me. Like this is completely your decision. But he's also like, I'm kind of scared of fatherhood and it's not something that I was ready for. And then speaking as Jane's like, yeah, it's not something I'm really ready for too. But we also have Jane saying at like 24, she went through an abortion. She got an abortion in a similar situation and she doesn't really want it. That was a traumatic thing and she doesn't really want to do that again or that scares her. And she's also like, if I did have the kid, I don't want any of your money or anything like that. I have a job. I can take care of this kid myself. Yep. You don't have to be involved. And it's this interesting dilemma where they both kind of don't want a kid. It's just a really real depiction of two people grappling with this unexpected pregnancy.
Yeah. It's like a breath of fresh air in the completely partisan, like every woman should have every right to do it, or like no woman should ever have an abortion. It's like, well, what if the people involved aren't sure yet?
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I just thought it was a good song.
Jane's side, she's also like, I also don't know how many years I have left to have a kid. You know, there is a time clock ticking down there.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, I really liked Tyler singing or speaking both verses in the way that it shows his understanding of both sides. It shows his empathy.
And maybe coming around to it.
But
I mean,
yeah,
I definitely am not suggesting that he should have the real Jane on.
No.
But I guess that he's telling, I guess I'm warming to that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey Jane is also, I've heard this, I haven't checked it, but an abortion clinic in New York. Like that's the name of an abortion clinic.
Okay.
So, yeah. But very, very, very good song that, I don't know, just really puts you in this kind of moment between these two people. Then we jump into I Killed You, which is actually features Childish Gambino.
What?
He's in the background of this. Yep.
He wasn't listed, so I didn't spot it.
He's also in the background of Hey Jane at the very end.
I don't even think I caught that one.
No, it's not listed as a feature, but there are quite a few people who, like Baby Keem's in one, Willow's in another, and they just sort of come in. Solange is apparently in one. They just sort of come in for a few background vocals. This one, he's talking about how he's killed a part of himself in the past, using black hair as kind of a metaphor. This whole song is about like doing particular restrictive things with hair, which like traditionally with black people in the US, they've been told to like straighten their hair or do particular styles, or like natural black hair looks bad or unprofessional. And so he's like, he's killed a part of himself in the past for being too himself. And that's a good song, but it's kind of short. And I think it takes a bit to like, maybe it requires a deeper dive. But the next one that kind of doesn't require a deeper dive, who's to say, is Judge Judy. This is the one that Childish Gambino was also on. Not Hey Jane, it's I Killed You and Judge Judy. Yep. Now, Judge Judy, this is also one that I want to hear your thoughts on. I just
thought that this was, if I was to put on a song like while I was driving or like commuting, this is probably the one from this album that I go to. It's just got a nice, that key, Judge Judy. I don't judge Judy. I just liked it.
Yeah.
It's just this is a vibes song for me.
It's definitely a vibe song. And I think having Gambino on there helps that. And you have this kind of, I don't know, very Gambino, maybe Kawhi, maybe some of Awaken My Love sort of synths in there. On this song, it took me a couple of listens, but I realized like it's pretty explicit. Like in the way of he's singing about this woman, Judy, that he's met. Then they hit it off and they start having sex and they're into kinky shit and they're exploring their kinks. And Tyler is very explicit on what kinks and what particular like sex acts that he's like, yeah, no, I like this. This is good.
I don't think I heard any of this.
No, I don't think I did either for like a very long time. And so that's really fun. And it's like, okay, cute, love it, whatever. And this whole time he's like, I'm not going to judge Judy. I'm not judging, she's not judging. This is this nice air of non-judgment and exploring ourselves together. Yeah. And then the last verse is a letter from Judy. And this is where it kind of gets dark. I guess trigger warning for suicide. Because this last verse is kind of a post-death death note thing from Judy to Tyler, saying, thanks for all this time that we had together. I really loved it. It was a lot of fun. I've been not in a great space. I've had this sickness that's spread to my head, meaning like mental illness. And basically saying, yeah, she's going to kill herself, or she has, but she wanted to thank Tyler and thank him specifically for not judging her.
Oof.
And so this beautiful, nice soundtrack to while you're driving, Judge Judy, like ends on this really somber note. Once again, a story of intimacy, this really intimate moment between these two people that's really vulnerable. So I don't know if you picked up on that last verse at all.
I don't think I heard that. I heard the sexual undertones of the exploring, but didn't hear any of the specifics and didn't even pick up that any of it was from Judy's POV at all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just the last bit, yeah. Then we jump into Sticky, which is a very sexy song. It's basically about how rampant sex is fun. It has Glorilla, Sexy Red, and Lil Wayne on it. And it's just them having fun, all of them being like, yeah, we love ourselves. And it's great when we get to explore that with other people. We also fucking love ourselves. And there's this line, and Tyler talks about pronouns a couple of times in this album, but he says, don't give a fuck about pronouns. I'm that N-word and that bitch. And I think that's fun. Like he says, a couple of times. It's like, that's, I don't know. As a non-binary person, I think that's fun.
It's a fun, raunchy song.
Yeah, it's a fun, raunchy song. And I love that he's like, it seems like he's going through a period of self-exploration, like sexually and in terms of identity. And I don't know. It's good. I like it. And then we have Take Your Mask Off. This is interesting because it kind of ties into the fact that Tyler's wearing a mask on this album. Mm-hmm. And that's like a very prominent part of it. So to have one of the songs being Take Your Mask Off, it's like, all right, this clearly means something.
Yeah.
In the first verse, he's kind of going at this, identity, this persona of a rapper who actually had a nice middle-class lifestyle, got good Christmas presents when he was young, got face tattoos and decided to, perpetuate this sort of gangster identity as a celebrity hip hop rapper. And that's bad. And take your mask off and be who you truly are. Like, don't put on this persona for the sake of it. And then it goes into talking about a homophobe, I guess. Like this guy who is on all this religious shit and perpetuates that, but is actually secretly gay and indulges in that. Oh, but there's this line at the end of that verse where it's like, but like as soon as you come, you're back on that religious shit. Like you do this as soon as you I don't know, you'll engage with your true self, but as soon as you've sorted that, you're like, no, but actually gay people bad.
Yeah.
Take your mask off and be who you are. Then it talks about this woman and how she's a wife. She has a nice car, nice house, has kids, but her name is Mother now. And her first name is Mum. Her last name was given to her by someone else now. And she isn't really happy with life and she should take her mask off and be herself. There's a line in this one. This one's like has some really fucking hard hitting lines. This one's like, you don't even have enough time to yourself to think about killing yourself.
Oof.
Where it's like, fuck.
Jeez.
And so all of these are like, be, try to be yourself. And then the last verse on this kind of speaks specifically about Tyler himself and his self-reflection about taking his mask off and the things that he grapples with as like not his sort of like failings or things that he's not being true to himself about. And it makes you kind of reflect on these first three verses and how all of those, while they're, directed at other people, they apply to him. Like how much is he putting on the mask of a gangster stereotype? How much has he previously been homophobic? Like he's used gay slurs for a long time in his music before coming out and saying, hey, I like men and women. And he's also has this thing of like, in the past of like wanting this one person and being dedicated to them. But as we've heard in other songs like Darling I, he's like, actually, maybe I should let myself loose of that.
Yeah. And embrace what I'm actually feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's Take Your Mask Off. And I think that's one of the best songs on the album.
I really liked this song also.
You liked it?
That's the last one, in going in chronological order, that's the last one I have a really strong memory of.
Yeah.
I remember it stuck out.
Yeah. Tomorrow's the next one. And that one might need a couple more listens, but it's about like aging and the future pressure and fear I don't know. I think this one has Bonita Smith being like, I want a baby. I want a grandchild. Give me a grandchild. And he's like, well, fuck, my mum's getting older. I'm getting older. Yeah. What do I do with that? Then we have Thought I Was Dead, which features Schoolboy Q. And I think this one, he's talking about, I don't know, this one needs a bit more listening. The instrumentals on this are great. But I think he's talking about how when he's gone away to work on his stuff professionally, people thought he was dead. This is another one of the gloating kind of songs.
Yeah.
Because he was doing his own shit. He was so far off, out of the realm, out of the stratosphere, that people are like, where the fuck is Tyler? Is he dead? Is this a reference to Call Me If You Get Lost? Because he's gone so far away, he's gotten lost. Maybe. Then we have Like Him, featuring Lola Young, and also has that Baby Keem jump in. This is, once again, a really vulnerable one. We kind of go in these flows of super vulnerable to not vulnerable to super vulnerable. On this one, it's about his father, which he hasn't really known ever, and he's spoken about in the way of like, I don't really need to know my father. I'm doing great. Like, I'm working on my own stuff. I don't need to know who my father is. And on this one, it starts off with Bonita saying, when I look at you, like I see him, you have these same attributes. And he kind of sings and muses on the song about how he is doing good himself, and he's at peak Tyler. He knows he's solid and proud of himself, that now he can kind of explore that. Because it's not like, what would I be if I had my father? It's like, no, I'm great, and I've had my mother's support, and I've had all this support, and I'm doing good. Maybe I should engage with this a bit. And it ends with Bonita saying, I'm fucking sorry because your father wanted to be in your life, and I told him no. He wanted to be there and be a father for you, and I didn't think that. She just stopped that from happening. And she's like, I'm asking for forgiveness. So that's a really tough one.
Yeah.
Really, really tough one. Yeah. So after that, of course, we go into a super happy one called Balloon. And this one's featuring Doechii. It feels like a celebration. It feels like an album finisher, a celebration of self. Once again, kind of on that Call Me If You Get Lost gloating, but like a bit more refined, a bit more reflective of the specific ways that he is improved as self and proud of himself as a person, his attributes and his ethoses. And Doechii as well, they're doing the same thing, which Doechii, great, like really good. I need to listen to more of her because she is absolutely fantastic and a great feature on this track. But I really like the happy tune of this. It feels kind of Flower Boy-ish, which is one of Tyler's earlier albums. Yep. Yeah, I fuck with it. But to pair up with that nice happy ending to the happier sides of self, the last song on this album is I Hope You Find Your Way Home, which is, a conclusion to the darker side. It's him ruminating on all of the shit progressions that he's made, the shit progress he's made as a person in terms of like going through all these, really, really tough stuff to think about, whether it's just thinking about it or experiencing it. And it makes me think, with this, the title of the song and the chorus being, I hope you find your way home, is this the antithesis to Call Me If You Get Lost? Because in Call Me If You Get Lost, the whole thing, the whole title there is about saying, get lost, go so far away from home, go so far away from where you are now, exploring yourself, exploring your passions, that you don't know where you are. And call me then.
And this one's more about like, find home, center, take the mask off. What if you need to address what's actually here?
Yeah. So all in all, pretty powerful album, I think.
I am definitely going to go back and listen to a few of these songs because I missed some stuff. Not going to lie.
But that's all right. That happens. That happens.
It does.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm so glad that you bring these to me, because I get to hear about them.
Yeah. I get to justify why they're great.
Yeah, a more than passing kind of way.
Yeah. Yeah, and it does, it does take some multiple listens. In the most recent listen that I did, I looked through the lyrics as I was listening to really, I wanted to get into the weeds a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm a big fan of this. I'm going to keep listening to it. I think it's going to be, it seems like an evolution of Tyler and a maturity, but maybe it's just one step on this staircase that he's going on. People are likening him to artists like Bowie or Prince in the way of he's going to have this he's done 8 studio albums. Yeah. And he's like 30 something.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. He's done it in like 10 years or 12 years or something.
Yeah. He's like, who knows where he'll go. So maybe this is just one rung on the ladder.
Yeah. That's a great comparison.
A great rung. I'm a fan of this rung. And if anyone has tickets to the Chromakopia Australia tour, let me know because I missed out.
Yeah. I was going to be like, you know what's happening next year? Maybe you can go in the States.
Maybe I can go in the States. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping.
Goodness me.
That's Chromakopia.
It's Chromakopia, baby. Oh, and also the last words of the album are Chromakopia.
Yes.
He says them real quiet at the end of the last song.
Yeah, and it loops into the start of the first song because they're talking about light. Yeah. And at the end, he's like, I found my light or whatever. It's within me. It's what my mum said.
Boo.
Should have listened to her the whole time, I suppose.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Wonderful stuff. There you go.
Yeah. I apologize.
Get back here. We've got an album for you as well.
Sorry for going on. I know I went on a little while there because No,
it's good. It's worth hearing. And I tend to just go quiet when you're doing an album because, I don't know. Yeah, you have a lot that's worth hearing. But when you're talking about a fucking show, I'm like, shut up. I'm interrupting now.
When I'm talking about an album, like I'm really, really getting into the weeds here. Like, is this?
That's fun.
Is this anything? Is this worth it?
No one knows.
Is this just my output for my infatuations?
Maybe. Hey,
okay, one more thing. There's on the Darling Eye. He's like, speaking of infatuation, he's like, I met this girl. I fucking love her. She's great. I want to buy a house together. I want to have 2 kids until I get infatuated with someone new. Then I'm just like, he's like, I know that's going to happen.
Jeez.
But it's just like, if that's how you position your relationships and you're honest about it and it's not a one-sided thing as well.
Yeah.
Like, explore what works for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vulnerable album. Open.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. One more thing. There's a great line in Noid where he's talking about how he how people are so into finding out all the intimate details about his life. Mm-hmm. And if he's like, if you really want to know about me, read a motherfucking book. Like there's books on me. Mm-hmm. Read those. Don't fucking troll me. Don't follow me. Don't fuck with like paparazzi, fuck off, all that. If you want to know about me, there are good ethical ways to go about that.
Yeah.
I think that's really what, you know, in the age of social media, maybe we should pick up a fucking book.
Read a goddamn book. That's the moral of the story today, kids.
So that's why I'm printing out my TikTok. I said I quit it.
No, you uninstalled it is what you did. You didn't say quit.
No. Our printer's out of ink, by the way, because I just set it up to constantly scroll.
Well, it's time for our classic question, who is this for? But I think maybe I'm more interested in what's the best Tyler album to start with?
What's the best Tyler album to start with? Probably Igor.
Okay.
I think Igor's, you know, the solid fan favorite. Yep. I think start with that. Maybe, you know, I think Igor, Call Me If You Get Lost, and Chromakopia are a really good trilogy. People like Flower Boy, but it's kind of aging. And all of these, people are finding that they're, from what I've seen, aging up with Tyler stuff. Like, I don't really listen to older Tyler stuff because I can't really connect with it, but I'm listening to the new albums as they come out and connecting. Nice. And it seems like a lot of people are having that same experience where, you know, you're growing up with Tyler as he, I don't know. Look, I'm not in the position of buying a fucking LaFerrari or, I don't know, getting married and the possibility of having kids. Like, that's not the position I'm in, but I can definitely relate to the modern sensibilities of these modern albums.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Good stuff.
That's what I recommend.
Good stuff.